And we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's Spill the Kopi with me, CuddlyBossLady. And today we have a very special guest, Heidi, who is our most illustrious, I should say, open water swimmer as well as pool swimmer. To chat with us today. Welcome, Heidi.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, as usual, we'll kind of start off talking about how you began on the swimming journey.
Yeah.
So give us a little background.
Sure. So I started in swimming lessons like most people do. And I happened to be, well, my mum tells me I was quite good. And it turns out I'm also very competitive. So I started out in swimming lessons when I was 5 and started in state level competitions in Australia. And eventually someone from Walaya asked if I would like to represent Walaya in the Sukma Games. I think I was 15 at that age. And I said, yes, yep, that sounds good. So my parents are actually from Sarawak, but no one from Sarawak had reached out to me. So I said yes to Walaya, and then I did my first Sukma Games. I think it was 2004. Actually, around the same time as obviously my colleague Kevin Yeep and Ku Chai Lin, Chule Kwan, Danny Bago, all those, I guess, superstars of that era, Lung Chilin and Jian Beng. And so we did Sukma Games. So I swam for Walaya. It was my first opportunity to race against the Malaysian national team, and I did quite well. I won individual medals, relay medals. We got Sukma records. And then I started doing the Malaysia Open. And then I went to the Commonwealth Youth Games. This was my first international competition for Malaysia. And that was actually in Australia. So I was, I think, 16 at that time. And eventually I was racing the pools. So like you said, I was doing pool racing. So 200 free, 100 free, 400 free, quite different distance to what I do now.
Yeah.
So definitely much more pool, shorter middle distance than long distance. And then I decided I would try open water swimming when I was a bit older. I think I was about 20 at that stage. And living and studying in Australia, so the beaches are really magnificent in Australia, and the open water culture is very, very good here. So I started open water swimming. I just tried the 5K to start. I was already doing surf lifesaving, and I really enjoyed it. And I love swimming in the ocean here. It's a lot of fun. So I tried the 5K, and I was not great, but I was okay at it. But I really enjoyed it. And there was an opportunity to do more of that racing in Australia, and I found the training very challenging. I was getting quite bored of the pool swimming by that stage. So I thought I would try the longer distance, and I really enjoyed the training. I had a really good training squad. My coach was excellent with the open water swimming. I had the facilities, the beaches, the culture, and I had an opportunity to qualify for the London Olympics, which was the second time the 10K marathon swim was ever being held. And Malaysia supported me. I gave it a go, and obviously, as you know, I qualified.
Made it. I mean, only 25 participants are allowed to take part at the Olympic level. So that's amazing.
And it happened very quickly.
I know, it's like, I decided to swim the 5K, and then and then off you go, right? Where did you train? It's all right.
Where did I train?
Yeah, which club did you train at?
So I train at Perth City Swimming Club in Western Australia. Yeah. And actually at one time we had athletes from Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Europe. We had a very international squad, and a lot of the squad were at the World Championships international level. So it was a very good, very strong squad to train in.
Sounds like a very competitive squad to work with.
Yes, and I train mostly with men, actually. So maybe quite tough in terms of my training.
Well, it's the part of the challenge, right? You sometimes you have to train with those who are right to help
Mm,
push you further than you, rather than you want to hold yourself back. So, oh, well, I'll just hang back here, or maybe I'll just try swimming with them and see how it goes.
yeah,
You,
yeah,
you do
definitely.
train
It
with
definitely
guys.
pushes you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they pick on you, don't they? It's like, yeah, you got it. Chase
Yeah,
their
they
toes.
do. But like I
Yeah,
said, makes you very tough.
yeah, it's good. Um, so I mean, obviously, tell us about the experience that you had. I mean, 2012.
Hmm.
Uh, what was like. I mean, I said it's an elite. I'll call it an elite thing that only 25 participants could take part. I mean, if you can tell us about what you went through.
Sure. So the Olympic qualifier was held in Portugal for the 2012 Olympic Games, and it was a very challenging, extremely challenging course. From memory, it was 6 laps, so 1.5K, around 1.5K per lap, but the water was between 14 and 16 degrees. Very, very cold. Now you can only wear, well, to swim in that temperature, you need a wetsuit. Back in that day, we didn't have that rule. So it was very, very cold, very strong currents, and the race was at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then halfway through the race, the current switched directions.
Oh
So
man.
very strategically challenging. And I was quite new to open water swimming then. So, yeah, I managed to win the Asian continental spot in that London qualifier. So they take the top 10 from the World Championships the year before straight through to the next year's Olympics, and I didn't compete in that. Then they take the top 10 from the qualifier, one from each country. Then they take one the best from each continent, so the next best from each continent, and I took the Asian spot out. So I had no expectations going into that race. I was just doing it for experience. Of course, I wanted to qualify. I didn't know what my chances were, and I obviously swam good enough to claim a spot.
So where did you? I mean, obviously within Australia, they would have the opportunity for you to submit for qualification, right? They would have their own races, or how does it work?
Yep. Yeah. So for Australia, it's I guess a similar competition, because in the Olympic level for open water swimming, the selection is based on world ranking. So you could be highly ranked in, say, Australia, but at the end of the day, each country's only allowed 2 people to compete at the qualifier. So if you come third in Australia, but you're ranked top 10 in the world, you can't qualify. You need to make your country selection first, and then it's world selection.
Okay.
So for Australia, I was ranked probably top 4 in Australia at the time. Obviously, you only swim for one country, and I had elected to swim for Malaysia when I was 15. So I was always going to swim for Malaysia, but in terms of Australian qualification, to pick the 2 to go to the Olympic qualifier, they hold their national championships, and then that's when they changed the criteria. But at that time, it was top 2 in Australia, and I was somewhere between 1 and 4 around there. So that, I guess, gives you just an equivalent understanding of where I sat on the international level.
So I mean, how did you prepare yourself for the Olympics in terms of whether you're training, or did you do other? Because you have the FINA World Series, the World Cup.
So the qualification system for open water swimming is quite unique in that the second round qualifier is only held 3 months before the actual Olympic Games. So I didn't know I was going to the Olympics until 3 months. I think it was about 3 months, maybe a little bit less, even 2.5 months before the Games itself. So it's a very tight window. So you have to train for the Olympic qualifier as if you are going to the Olympics. And that to me meant you just had to focus everything on the assumption that you were going. So my routine, my training, my diet, everything was geared to the Olympic Games. So I followed a very strict program with my coach. We chose very selectively the events I would attend in preparation for the Olympic trials. So I didn't do the whole series. Australia is very far away from a lot of the places that the FINA World Cup is held, like very far. And the flights are very difficult to get to. And it's also a matter of funding. So for me, before qualifying for London, I would have had to have said to the Malaysian Olympic Association or the Olympic Committee, you have to take a gamble on me to go to all these World Cup events in the hope I will qualify, when I actually hadn't qualified. And as everyone knows, funding in sport is very difficult to get. So I made the strategic decision instead to train locally. Yeah, be selective, train locally. And I do a lot less racing preparation than I do training. I'm very consistent in training. And when I say we, my coach and I decided not to do as much racing as the Europeans do, purely because travel was an issue, cost was an issue, and I could get the same benefit out of training.
Because it is a lot. I mean, it's more so now. You see how they really do travel on such a regular basis that you wonder how you train in between that, right? I mean, I suppose they're constantly
exactly.
right?
Well, it depends. So a lot of the Europeans have a different model, or they've been doing open water swimming for most of their life. It's a very old sport in Europe. Whereas for me, I needed the consistent Ks, the consistent training, the consistent sets, and that was more important to me than the race experience that I would get on the international circuit, because you have to taper, you have to come down, you have to recover from the race, so it's not consistent training.
I mean, what sort of, I hate asking this mileage question, but
that's okay.
Because it varies. I mean, I've seen obviously interviews with many of the other, and their mileage will vary quite widely in terms of their training program. What sort of mileage, or you were training 12, how many times a week?
So I was training both for London and Rio, 9 to 10 pool sessions a week. I would generally stay around 9, and then I would do 2 gym sessions on top of that and other land work. On average, we would train between 70 to 80 kilometers a week. And on a heavy training cycle, we'll go up to 100. So generally around 70 to 80.
Oh, I just don't. No, I can't imagine doing those anymore.
No, neither can
I. Obviously now I am more of the master's age group, so I don't think I could manage 70, 80K a week.
I don't think I can either.
Because 20K is really like, yeah, okay, I think that's but in that instance, that's like that's the competitive life, right? You would be doing that amount of mileage on top of your dry land and anything else that would help you in the water.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's at Olympic level. That is, I had a job, but that is effectively your job. So it's taken very seriously, and there's no, no soft way around it. You just have to do the Ks.
Yeah, and did you have part of that mileage? Did you have to? Obviously, it depends on the weather season it was in. Did you also do open water as part of your whole training regime? Is it not so much racing, but you go out and
look? Actually, not as much as people think. The mileage is really done in the pool, and it's the race skills that you get and that you get to work on and develop in the ocean or in the lake or in the open water. So during summer, we would tend to race every weekend, but quite short races, or they would vary between a 400-meter surf race through to a 10K open water race. And during winter, no, it was mostly in the pool, because in Perth, it gets to 0 degrees in winter.
I can't imagine. Because I know some of the swimmers now, because not all their pools are open, and they've been swimming out in the sea or sometimes they have lakes nearby them,
Yeah.
and they're wearing those thick wetsuits with the gloves, and then they were sharing the videos of, the seeds, obviously, depending on what the weather is like, and you see all that, and I was like, oh, crazy. I love the ocean. I love swimming, open water, and all that stuff. But I was watching his video of this waves this morning. I was like, oh man! And he said, oh, it was about, I think he said it was 12 degrees or something. I forgot which part of Australia was in. I was like,
not really for me. But also, when you train in a wetsuit, it changes your stroke, and you get a completely different experience.
You don't get that mobility that you would like.
Yeah, and the force is different. Certainly mobility, but your exertion levels are much different. So, to us, there was no point in swimming in a wetsuit just to get out in the ocean if we could do really good kilometers and actual good work in the pool.
I can't imagine swimming in like 0 degrees. Or have you considered the ice swimming championships or?
No. No, I'm quite opposed to swimming in cold water. I like it, actually, going in for a dip. I did a dip in, I think it was very close to 0 degree water in Sweden when I was there a couple of years ago. But I do that for fun. I don't really enjoy going out and swimming in that for competitively and for a long amount of time.
Yeah, okay. Because last weekend we had Colin Hill, and there were a couple of others who have done the ice swimming championships, and no, it just he was explaining what they did, and we were asking him how it felt doing that, because obviously we're in the tropics, so and mentally just can't.
Look, it's a challenge in itself, but it's not a challenge that I particularly am interested in taking on.
Towards.
Yeah.
Do you still swim? No,
I don't actually, as much as I would like to, and that's mainly a product of the work I've been doing at the moment. So I relocated to Sydney with my law firm to work on a trial in the Sydney courts. And I didn't have a car, and I was working basically 100-hour weeks, which made it very difficult for me to get to a pool. So the exercise I was fitting in was really just whatever I could do, like land work, 20 minutes a few times a week if I could. Now it's coming into summer here in Australia, and I'm actually back in Perth and relocated back because of COVID, which is why I do apologise for my messy background, because I had to make a very quick office out of my spare room when I came back, as we were all working from home. So I've got storage boxes everywhere.
That's why my background's in the dark.
Yes. So I am hoping to get back into the pool, but I actually have not swam very much at all in the last probably year and a half.
Would you come back to it? Obviously I know work hours are kind of, and obviously COVID situation right now.
Yes, certainly. I really do want to, and I think I eventually will probably do master swimming or something like that. I do miss it. And, to be honest, my body is not very good at running and land work. No, my joints don't really like impact sport. So I think I will. I'm just trying to find a routine again.
I know with obviously, pools are open and then they close, or they're open and then they close. It's a little difficult to plan your turn.
Yeah,
as it were.
That's right.
Swim masters.
Look, I just need to get my butt into gear and just commit. To be honest,
it's always that first step, and then you do swim. And okay, not too bad.
Yeah. And then it's actually it's quite interesting in terms of timing, because when I was swimming, obviously I was swimming at 5:30 in the morning, then again at 5 o'clock at night. So it's like my day started at 4:30 in the morning when I wake up. But now I'm working on quite a few international things at work, which means I don't usually finish work till quite close to midnight. So getting up at 4:30 is not really an option. So my whole kind of life has shifted to a later time period. So I'm just trying to work out the balance there when I can, fit in both swimming and work quite ideally, comfortably.
Diving. Yeah, we had some talk of masters dive because, you know, we've had a lot of ex-athletes come and have a chat with us, and I always ask them, you know, have you thought about doing masters? You know, master something or another, whether it's diving, synchro, because World Championships, hopefully, is in 2 years. World Masters. So and the nice thing about that one is the Masters open water event is only 3K.
Oh, okay. I think I can. That's a good target to have.
So it's like, I would always ask people, so have you thought about coming back to swimming? I mean, your work is as a barrister. Is it barrister?
Solicitor.
Solicitor. That you're working on. What do you think swimming has well, kind of the life skills, or what has it taught you that has helped you in the life after swimming, if you like? Because obviously swimmers, you dedicate your life, your early years, as it were, to just that sport, and everything pretty much revolves around it. So, but what do you think has been your takeaway from it?
Barrister's different to barista, so that's okay.
Baristas are awesome.
Look, swimming has actually trained me for a life as a lawyer very, very well. And I always joke about this to start with, because I didn't get a lot of sleep when I was swimming, and I don't get a lot of sleep now as a lawyer. So the hours are very long, but it just makes you very resilient. And in my career as a lawyer, so I work in litigation, which is disputes and basically going to court, solving people's problems, trying to settle arguments. And you're always getting knocked back or knocked down. So I'm in a trial at the moment, and it's a 3-month trial. So it takes a lot of stamina. It's high pressure. You have to think on your feet. There's demanding clients, there's demanding court, judges, opponents. It's very strategic, and all that stuff is very stressful if you don't know how to deal with it. But it's very similar to sport. So in sport, in a race, particularly my race, it's a marathon. And in fact, any sport is a long-term investment. You have to put in the hours to get the result. And it's strategic, particularly my race, it's strategic. So there's endurance. You have to be resilient. You have to be tough. You get beat down. You don't win all the time. And it's very similar to law, and it's very demanding. It's stressful, and you have to think on your feet. So I really like that aspect of my job, because I think I'm well trained to deal with it. And I did that for many, many years as an athlete. You also need discipline, and that is something obviously every athlete has: time management, discipline, organizational skills, because you can't be an elite athlete without those skills. And they are very, very helpful in the law. Yeah, and very, very helpful.
Communication and learning how to two-way communication, as it were.
Yes, and also working in a team. So even though swimming is an individual sport, you generally swim in a squad, and you don't get to choose who's in your squad. You know, you can not get along with anyone in your squad, but you're still stuck there. So you just have to learn people skills. You have to learn teamwork, and it's exactly the same in an office environment. You don't get to choose your colleagues, but you do need to work together. And so I think I have very well-rounded communication skills, and really good, I guess, interpersonal skills, but also self-management skills. And they just, I guess I didn't notice it till I got into the law how valuable they were to me.
Because it was primarily how your coping mechanism, right? As you when you were training, it's all these things that you picked up as you as you went along, and you don't realize that, oh, okay, I can use this here, or it's helped me here, until much later.
You don't really realize it at all. It just becomes who you are. But you start to realize it when you work with other people that don't have those skills. And you know, I see some lawyers get very, very, it's a very stressful job, get very stressed, but don't necessarily have the skill set to cope with the stress. And a lot of those people end up leaving the law. And it's not till you see that you realize that as an athlete, you already know how to deal with stress, and you don't have to think about it. Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, besides the law, you've also do cakes.
Yes.
As a baker. And, you know, we, as I mentioned before, every week we somehow or another conversations come around food, and particularly cake. You can see Heidi's Instagram here with many of her creations. They look amazing.
Thank you.
I mean, one of my teammates who was also on, she believes that cakes are, you know, having cake is an essential part of recovery with training. So she always tells us that, you know, it's she always says it's part of the recovery process. Have cake.
I don't disagree.
Oh wow, that's amazing cake now.
Thank you.
The ocean. But how did you get into this? I mean, I know swimmers and food, and we tend to float into that sort of realm quite naturally, it seems. But how did you start?
Yeah, it's a funny story actually, because my parents don't cook, I guess, Western cakes, and I started by making a cake for one of my squad mates' birthdays. This would have been 15 years ago or something, and everyone really liked it. It was just a basic cake, and then it became a tradition, and then I started making cakes for everyone's birthdays, and then I got more creative, and then friends of friends would ask me to make their cakes, and it turned into a business. It's just a small hobby. I don't have too much time to do it, but I do it for friends of friends or colleagues who have, I guess, big birthdays coming up, or just, you know, different things happening, and they want something special, and I really enjoy it. Yeah, I do it because, you know, it doesn't make me money, but I enjoy it, and it's a good outlet for me because of the law. It's very black letter. It's nice to have a different outlet, a creative outlet, actually.
Creative outlet, right? So that your mind gets to switch focus for a while, and you don't have to worry as much stress. I mean, you know, the pressures of that. It's like, I'm doing something beautiful and delicious, so, you know, work on that one, right? And you get to eat it. I mean,
that's right. I usually get to eat the scraps or something in the batter, so it's all fun.
I have a friend who was a custom cake baker, and she says, "Oh, we've got all these cake scraps, and do you want some?" Like, yeah, okay, we'll
yeah, definitely. Yeah, my partner is the same.
They freeze, right? You can freeze them. So we used to add them, like, you know, your yogurt or your breakfast thing, and you would have them.
Yes,
and
definitely.
I have teenage boys, so
I'm sure it goes down very well.
Yeah, we would always, you know, have cake. I mean, you know, you finish your race, you finish your swims or whatever. It's like, okay, what are we going to eat now? Always. Do you have a particular favorite kind of cake, or?
I tend to like white chocolate mud cake, actually. So, and that tends to be the base for a lot of the cakes that I make. It stacks really well. You can cut it up and it tastes great. And it freezes really well. So I definitely like the really rich stuff.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Life's too short for anything else.
Yeah, that's right.
Matthew is asking, well, give me cakes. Do you sell them?
So I take orders. So I don't sell them at a market, but people will ask me for an order and a design, and I sell that cake to them.
So like custom cake design.
Yeah, custom orders. Yeah.
Matthew is also from Sarawak.
Oh, okay.
He's from Miri. He's also an open water swimmer.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I hope I can get back to Sarawak at some point. It's, well, anywhere outside of Australia. We're kind of stuck here at the moment.
So Joy has a question as well.
Sure. Look, I don't think so right now because I'm busy with the law, and that's a very time-consuming part of my life. But maybe, if I ever have a break from the law or I want to do something different, then maybe. I really enjoy it and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think enjoying it as an outlet now, as opposed to running your own business, sometimes is two quite different.
Yeah.
things.
I do it because I don't have to do it, I guess. Like, it's just a fun thing. I'm not relying on it for.
As opposed
Yeah,
to
yeah, that's right.
Beverly says swim to eat. Yeah, that's one of our favorite hashtags. Swim to eat.
Oh, okay.
And
Yes.
So
Yes,
Beverly's also
I
from
need to
Sarawak, so we have a lot of
that's right.
Sarawakins here
Sarawakian
today.
supporters. Good to hear.
If I remember correctly, I think it's your cousin that you guys opened an eatery in Australia. Melbourne?
Yeah, it's actually my dad and my cousin opened up a Kuching style restaurant in Perth, and it is doing so well. There's a lot of Kuching people here, and my dad isn't a chef. He's actually a mechanic by trade, but he always cooks like Kuching laksa and all the kind of specialties on the weekends. So my cousin is a chef, so they teamed up together to open the restaurant. And yeah, it's very popular both with Malaysian people and foreigners as well as the locals.
I mean, wherever there's a Malaysian restaurant, Malaysians will try and find it.
Yeah. And they travel very far.
To go home and, Kuching,
yes.
Sarawak laksa and all those are generally harder to find, I think.
Very hard.
Yeah, restaurant-wise and all those things.
Yeah, they've been getting a lot of compliments actually about how authentic it is, because they get the laksa paste from Kuching and they ship it over. So it's very authentic, and it makes a lot of people who are foreigners or people from Malaysia that visit the restaurant really miss home. So they get a lot of foreign students, a lot of migrants. Yeah, it's very nice. They really enjoy it.
So it's called what's it called?
KCH. So KCH for Kuching. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've I've seen your posts on social media, and I was like, oh, that looks good. Even though I'm here, we found you find different places. If this Kolomi is pretty close to Kuching, Kolomi, or because I'm from Penang, so you'd find Penang, what we call Hokkien mee, which Klang Valley calls prawn mee. We would this one is as close to that. So I mean, even if you're overseas, even more so that you find somewhere you have that it's home, taste of home.
Yeah, particularly Kuching. I think the Kuching food is quite different and more harder to find in Perth.
Yeah, I can imagine. So well done to your dad and your cousin.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, hopefully, none of us can come back. I mean, we can't travel anywhere, and it must be difficult for, students who are obviously, they can't come home to.
Yeah.
So, next best thing. There you go.
Yeah, that's it. Very good food. Good. Yeah, it's very authentic. Very authentic.
Okay. Do you have a particularly favorite dish or something, whether it was when you're training or it's like your comfort food favorite?
I would probably say at the moment, or even during swimming, it was coffee. It's not really food, but I drank a lot of coffee, and I still do. But as for food, Not really. I like a lot of food. I tended to eat quite paleo when I was swimming, so and I still do now, so I don't eat a lot of processed food. So no cereals, a bit of rice, not really pasta or anything like that. So very kind of clean food. But no, it's a bit boring. I don't really have a favorite. I guess the closest thing for me would probably be ice cream. So I love ice cream, and I had to not eat it when I was swimming too much because I would put on weight very easily, and it's obviously not very good for your energy levels to have lots of sugar spikes.
But it's nice. It's a
Yes.
nice reward, isn't it?
Yes, that's my favorite.
I mean, you can't really say which of your coffee ice cream combine the best of both worlds. I mean, as we've seen with the dishes, that did you have a particular favorite from your dad? I mean, that your dad would always make.
Yeah, for me, it's two. It's the char kway teow. It's my favorite. And the way the cooking char kway teow is quite different with the like Chinese sausage in it, and it just I love it. But the kuching laksa is probably it's their most popular dish, and it's so different to Penang laksa, like every other type. Yeah. And I really, really love it. It makes me think of going back to kuching.
Oh yeah, that would be good. We seem to have a lot of Sarakians on our feed today.
That's great.
Brennan's saying that both of us, because it's been a while since I've been back, so they're like, both of us, yeah, we're making you hungry. Talk about food. We always talk about food. Bev's asking kacang ma.
Yeah, the kacang ma. Yeah, it was actually very popular. It's quite an unusual dish. I don't actually really like it, but I grew up eating it. And it was funny. I said to my dad, how did the kacang ma go as a special? And he said it was so popular. Not only were the foreign people eating it, so Malaysian people eating it, but the Western people were eating it. And they sold out in the first day that they sold it. So very interesting dish. And it was proved very popular. The only reason they couldn't make it anymore was because they ran out of the Chinese wine, the rice wine, to put into the kacang ma. And you can't buy that. You have to make that. And they didn't have time to make it in a day. But that's the kind of... No, they have someone who makes it. So they buy it from a Chinese store who makes it. But that store had run out. So, It's great that something so different like that is so popular. So, very difficult to find that in Perth.
Mean, it's a unique dish that you would think, I mean, obviously the kuching outs would be like, I recognize this from, but that's
even a lot of Malaysian people, they said, didn't know what it was. So interesting.
Cool. Joy is asking, Joy again. Will you have any meals? Do you eat before training or swimming?
Yes, I do. But before a race, I will eat over 3 hours before. I don't like to eat closer to that. If I have to, it's because the race, like the Rottnest Channel swim, starts at like 5:30 in the morning. So, I cut that down to obviously 2 hours before. And same before I train, I don't really like to eat more than...
Too much.
So less than 3 hours before. Yeah, that's just a personal preference. So
usually before racing or training, I don't eat. I might have just a drink of water or whatever, and I don't eat before that. But before races, I would actually get up earlier. Then I wouldn't necessarily have to.
Yeah, I mean, I think you definitely should before a race. I always ate before a race. But if you have a really good meal the night before, you don't really need to eat that much food, depending on the length of your race. But say for a 10K World Cup race, I would have a very good meal the night before. And then the morning of, I would maybe have a couple of boiled eggs. If I was eating toast, maybe a piece of toast, like quite a I guess, small size breakfast, because you generally only have like an hour or two, then you have to go race.
Matthew. Yeah, no, we won't be having that before the before the race. After we will have. Matthew's asking if you've done the port to pub Rottnest.
I've done the Rottnest swim, so I haven't done port to pub. I did the Rottnest swim in 2018, and that was my last major my last major race. It's considered the biggest open water race in the world, so international. And I basically, because I stay in Perth, everyone in Perth knows what the Rottnest Channel swim is. So if you don't know, it's a 19.7 kilometre swim from Cottesloe Beach here in Perth. Sorry, I have IT issues. From Cottesloe Beach to Rottnest Island. And everyone that you talk to says, oh, you know, you're an open water swimmer. Have you done the Rottnest Channel swim? And if you say no, they don't really get it
seriously.
They're like, oh, you didn't do the Rottnest Channel swim. But I decided to do it in 2018, which was a year I retired effectively, or decided I was probably going to retire. And I won it. I wanted to win, and I wanted to win so well that I wouldn't have to do it again. So I won, and I beat the record. So my record still stands, and I did it in a very, very quick time. It's very good conditions that year. 4 hours, 10 minutes, I think it was, or 4 hours, 15.
Awesome.
So yeah, I broke the record by almost 10 minutes, I think.
Right, I've done it. Stop asking me.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, but that kind of training, and I wanted to win, and I think I came, there was only like 5 men in front of me or something as well, so I just wanted to win convincingly.
Just chase the blokes again.
Yeah, and a lot of them, actually all of them except for one, were my training partners, so
oh wow.
We trained together. It was a very good year, very competitive. Yeah, so it was good fun. I'm glad I won that, so I don't have to do it again.
Tick that one off the
Yeah, and I wanted to do it when I still had a lot of fitness from my international career, which is why after SEA Games in 2017, I thought I'm going to keep training. I'm not sure if I'm ready to retire yet, and obviously I retired not long after that, but I wanted to use that fitness to get to the Rottnest Channel swim a few months later.
Wow, I can imagine. I know some of my training buddies. Yeah, it is impressive. Training buddies have done it before. I think 1 or 2 of them have done it before, but it's a completely different. I mean, here we're used to generally calmer waters. I mean, I suppose it depends on the year. You were saying that you had good conditions that year, and it varies, right?
Yeah, it's still out in the Indian Ocean. There's many sharks and jellyfish in that body of water, and it is very cold often. A lot of people get hypothermia, very salty, and it's challenging. But it's a lot of fun. But I mean, again, that's the environment I grew up in, that I trained in all the time. So I really enjoy that.
Well, I suppose it is your neighborhood, as it were, Perth, right?
Yeah, that's right.
One day, maybe. No, I don't think any of us want to swim in the Klang River.
No.
Or even the Kuching River, for that matter.
No, definitely not.
I think the crocodiles will win that one. We always joke that, Sorokins always swim faster because of the crocodiles.
Quite possibly, actually. Yeah, like in Western Australia, it's sharks. So
yeah, I can imagine. I remember, was it? I think one of the triathlons, like Bustleton, and I'm not sure about 1 year for Rottnest, that they had to stop because great white was hanging about. So
that was the Bustleton Ironman, and the Rottnest Channel swim. There's always sharks. They've seen sharks during the race, and a shark actually stopped the Rottnest Channel swim I think it was the year I swam, actually, they spotted a shark, and the rules are if a shark's spotted, they have to clear the water within a 50-meter radius of that shark when it's spotted, which doesn't really make sense to me because by the time you clear the water, the shark's gone. But it does mean that everyone... No, it's not. And it means everyone that's in that radius gets pulled out. And obviously you get disqualified in a marathon race if you touch anything. So all those poor people got pulled out and got disqualified. Luckily, I was on the island by that stage, so I'd already finished. But it was a lot of people who were in teams doing it socially, and they trained really hard for it. So, and they're not usually swimmers. So that was quite disappointing for a lot of people. But what can you do?
Croc and sharks make you go really, really fast. Yeah.
And also make you very scared.
Most of the sharks that we see here are reef sharks or black tips or anything like that. So they tend to run away if you're swimming around them. So they don't really want to hang about. Whereas I guess
great
in Australia
whites are different.
Yeah, slightly more aggressive.
Yes, that's right.
Sharks. Wasn't it? They always say that everything in Australia is trying to kill you, even it's like yay big.
Yeah.
Let's see if we have any other questions. Bev is asking if whenever anyone is able to travel again, would you come and swim? There is a Perhentian Round Island swim that usually
that's like
is
7K, right?
No, it's 16.
Or is it more? Oh, okay, 16. It's the big one.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it 4? This new version, as it were. It's about 4. I think it's 4 years. I can't lose. I've lost count now. But yeah, it's about 4 years. They have it's around the main Perhentian Basah, and it's either a solo or you can do it as a relay. They also have a full KM race as well. So yeah, you should come back and do it.
Yeah, well, if I'm swimming by then, yes.
Oh, you will be.
I've heard about it. So I've heard it's a very nice swim to do.
Matthew is asking when travel's fun.
I'm sure I can arrange something special for people coming over.
Yeah, Matt Beverly actually train with me on a regular basis. They're my training buddies.
Oh, great.
Well, Matt's like further in front so much. So we have to chase his bubbles, as it were.
Well, it's the best. Yeah. It's the best way to train, really.
Yeah, I got chase. So yeah, we'll put Kachangma further in front for him, and that's his motivation. Is it, Matt?
I'm sure I can make those arrangements.
One day, it's on the bucket list, I think, for a lot of us here. But we don't know when we can travel. I think it's still going on now. I was because I follow obviously their social media and things like that. So but it's limited to, I think you had to smaller scale, obviously, for under the present circumstances. Did you have any bucket list swims that you would have liked to have done?
Probably the Hawaii swim. There's a really nice swim. Yeah, the Waikiki rough water. A few of my friends have done that, and that's been a lot of fun. So that's something I would have. That is something I would eventually like to do. Yeah, apparently it's just amazing. Very deep water, very similar to swimming in Australia. Lots of sea life. I think they're sharks, but yeah, a lot of fun.
Beverly has done 2 years in a row. Waikiki.
Oh, the Waikiki. Oh, great.
Yeah.
I've heard good things.
All the photos and all those things. It would have been awesome. There's 2, right? There's that one and there's another
there
one.
is. Yeah, I've only had friends do the Waikiki one, and they said it's been really great. So yeah.
I think last year's Beverly was saying it's quite choppy. A lot of people, not as many people finished as would have been previous years. I can't remember. I mean that's the thing about open water swimming.
And it can change like in any given year,
in the race,
really.
right? Yeah.
So,
I mean, like you were saying, in London, you current switched.
yeah, in Portugal, yeah, that's just crazy. But that's the fun of it, really.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the challenge, right? And you were saying, you know, thinking on your feet, you have to change strategies, you have to figure it out as you go along. I mean, was it the same experience for you, Rio-wise? I mean, you also qualified for Rio. Obviously, totally different experiences.
Rio, the environment is very similar to Perth, actually, or swimming in Australia. And we were swimming in Copacabana Beach, so it was like swimming out in the ocean, away from people, away from the shore. It was choppy, it was salty, there was sun, waves, swell. It was a lot of fun, and I really like those environments. So yeah, I had a totally different experience to London, where we were swimming in Hyde Park, and you're just swimming in a flat lake, basically. Visibility is not great, and
sometimes you don't really want to see what's
no, certainly not there. So yeah, it's a different
different thing. Yeah,
different experience.
Yeah, I mean, obviously qualifying for the Rio Olympics, because you already had the previous experience. Was there anything different in your preparation, or did you follow a similar route?
Very different, for a number of reasons. By Rio, I had started working full time as a lawyer. So in London, I was still a uni student, and I had a number of part-time jobs, but I was a student predominantly. But yeah, certainly by Rio, I was working full-time as a lawyer. So the demands on my time and my body were quite different. I was probably more in what I would say caretaker mode by that point. So for Rio, I was 28, and I had been swimming for like 23 years of my life.
Yeah.
And I'd done a lot of open water training. I'd done a lot of Ks. So actually come Rio, I was very injured, probably the most injured I've been in my career. Before I flew, I had an injection in my elbow. I'd had numerous shoulder injuries. I was basically just trying to not even recover from, just maintain. And I had a lot of stress in my life, a lot more compared to London with my job and other things. My partner had just started opening up his businesses. So there was, I was trying to help him there as well. My coach, his wife gave birth to a baby, I think the day before I flew out to Rio. So very difficult for me to, I guess, reach out for him because he was in the hospital. And I actually was sick. I caught a cold just before I flew to Rio. And it's a very, very long way to travel from Perth to Rio. And I just had like a terrible flight. And so when I got to Rio, I was very injured. I was sick, and I was trying to already maintain my other injuries. So the mentality shift was very different. Where I guess in London, I was more open-eyed. This is a great experience. In Rio, I wanted to do better. The world had moved on in the 4 years since London, so a lot of new faces, a lot of very fast open water swimmers. Previously, the open water swimmers were really, really tough. The new batch in Rio were very fast as well, and a lot of them swam in the pool as well. So very different dynamic. I was older, and yeah, it was probably, I think, a very different experience in the sense that I found Rio probably more personally rewarding, because I had to overcome a lot more challenges just to make it to the start line. And then the race itself, even though I ranked lower than what I did in London, I fought really hard to the end, and it was, I overcame so much to get there that it meant a lot more to me than just the results on a piece of paper.
I mean, like you said, it's you had to go through such a journey to get there the second time around, and So yeah, that's sometimes it's not necessarily about the medal that you got or the the record that you have, and sometimes it's just that you'd given your all, and to get to that finish line, to get to that, touch the wall or whatever it is, depending on which, you feel like such, let's say, relief. Well, partly relief probably as well, but it's like you said, it's rewarding. It's like, okay, I did it.
Yeah,
I made it.
it's a different achievement level, and I think that's something that doesn't necessarily get portrayed in the media a lot. So the media will say, "Oh, Heidi failed to improve on her ranking
They like
in
using that
her to
headline
London."
for many things.
Yeah, and I don't really think too much about it, because for me, I know what I went through to get to the start line, let alone actually, finish the race and finish top 20 in the world. So
I used to say, I mean, we'll throw them in the pool and see how they, or see whatever it is, and see how they.
yeah. But at the end of the day, they're just doing their job, and that's how they get the headlines.
Sometimes, to think.
Sure. Yes. Sure. Yeah. It is.
No, I mean, but everything is a journey, right? And you are Malaysia's most decorated open water swimmer at the moment, and serve as inspiration for many who came before, or after, I should say, not before. But what was it like for you for the 2017 that year? Because obviously you've been through so much to get to Rio, and then after that, you had SEA Games, and I met you. I think I met you then. Can't remember. After a while, all the years sort of blended in together. And I mean, well, how was that different for you? I mean, Asian Games and SEA Games and so on.
Still just as important. I mean, my training was just as targeted to SEA Games and Asian Games, even though it wasn't, like the national level. The full international level is the Olympic experience. But it was really important to me because I knew it was probably going to be one of my last major competitions. I didn't think I was going to swim much more past 2018. I hadn't decided if I was going to swim through to Tokyo yet. So it was really important to me because I've got very fond memories of SEA Games. I think I've medaled at every SEA Games I've competed at. I've really enjoyed it. It's where I've made some really close friends in the Malaysian team and in other countries as well. And 2017 was so important because it was hosted in KL. And it was just, for me, if I was going to retire, that would have been a fantastic way to retire, in front of a home crowd, ideally win a gold medal, which I did, and, really kind of go out with a bang. And so it was almost perfect for me in terms of that's what I wanted to do, and I had to make sure I could do it, but that's what I wanted to do, and I did it.
Oh, we know you did. And Kevin was on 2 weeks ago. Yeah, and it's a very different feel, in front of your home crowd. And
and we're a similar age. We met, I think, around the same time in the Sukma Games, and Kevin also came from the pool and tried open water swimming, and he went to a few World Cups with me as well. So I was really grateful that we could both win gold at that meet, and that would be our last one together. It was really nice.
And he's coaching now, so
yeah.
And he still picks on me in an open water race. It's like, okay, man, go. I'm like, no, I'm not anywhere near you. You can carry on.
Yes.
I'll do my happy swim as I go along. That's good. I mean, like I said, it's something. You'll have different competitions or races that mean different things to you because of your experiences. Like you said, 2017 being at home and towards the tail end of competitive career, and then Rio because of what happened. I mean, the journey that you had to go through to get there. I mean, each one is unique. You can't always, like this is this and this is this and this. It's not all the same, right? It's always a different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take a couple more questions from the audience. You good? Beverly's asking, how do you prepare for a competitive open water swim? Gosh, that's like 3 questions. Yeah. Both you and coach would study sea conditions for the day, and any tips to inspire the younger Malaysians who are now, because competitive open water is slowly growing here, both from masses as well as actual competitive open water like FINA. So any tips and advice would be totally awesome.
Yeah, look, I'll take the how do you prepare and motivational or inspirational tips. And the how you prepare, it really depends on the race itself, your conditions, your conditioning, how fit you are, and what you're preparing for. I think the best you can say across all circumstances is be consistent, because consistency is key in training, and that's what's going to get you results. So no matter what race it is, no matter what your prior progress has been or your prior training, consistency is the most important thing. So that would be my number one, I guess, tip in terms of how you prepare, because it really depends, if you're carrying injuries or what phase of training you're in. So be consistent. As for inspiration, look, that's quite a different one, because typically Malaysians don't really like swimming in the ocean, even though we have fantastic beaches and there's more people now. Yes. But I think it's just about encouraging people to try, and that to not be scared of it. I think that's the main thing. I guess I'm quite fearless in the sense that I will go into a body of water and swim if there's sharks, if there's turtles, if there's jellyfish, whatever. I just love it. It's adventurous. There's no reason to be scared. It's fun to try. And I think if people try it, then they are more likely to like it. If they don't try it, they have no opportunity to like it. So I think it's just about just like knocking down the barriers, like just have fun. If you enjoy it, good. If you don't, fine, but give it a go, because that's the most important thing. And we're all staying fit and active.
When our pools were closed, but they did allow small numbers to be able to, so we'd go to the sea. But it has grown quite substantial, quite quickly actually. In the last few years, there have been more and more open water races, and groups that go out and swim.
Yeah.
It's nice to see. It's very different from pool. It's different. You need the pool to help you prepare for the other thing, but it requires slightly different.
It's very different skill set, absolutely.
Yeah, but it's an amazing thing to do. It's very free, I find. Freedom.
Yeah, agree.
So you need to come back and swim. Trying to motivate you to come back and swim. It's like you said, Australia's got much more mature open water swimming scene, as well as master scene there. Have you done any like casual races in the last few years since you've retired, or was it because you've been working like a mad woman mostly?
I'm just going to have to plug in my phone. It's about to die, which is a bit unfortunate. So just bear with me.
Okay, it's not a problem.
So have I...
While we're waiting for Heidi to come back from... There's always some technical support that needs to be done. So do Katama makes them go faster, as well as the crocodiles, I think. Do throw Heidi a couple more questions in your in the comment section. At least we've got our comment sections back compared to the last couple of weeks because, technology is always helpful. But, yeah, sometimes when it doesn't work. Hello, Mr. So, and for tuning in. Let's see what else. Maybe you can. How are you doing, Heidi? Is Heidi back or did she disappear? Show your copy. Here's my finished mug. Look. Yes, I'm drinking more coffee because, I really need to be any more caffeinated in the last. We'll wait for Heidi to come back, but do ask more questions there, or if you actually want to ask me questions while we're waiting, I'm also able to do so. Do not ask me what the sets are for tomorrow because I'm not going to tell you. You'll find out tomorrow. You'll be pleasantly surprised. How's Heidi? Did Heidi completely fall off again? See, technology and us, obviously.
Yeah, she disappeared.
She disappeared.
We can talk about her behind her back now.
Let's talk about her on the live stream while we're doing it. Matt.
Okay, look at all her food stuff.
We look at that's good. Matt wants to play a game and he wants to get a prize. No, Matt, you don't get a discount either when it comes to training.
Yeah, she didn't talk about jellies, did she?
Well, she briefly did, but, she's
mostly
unafraid.
Sharks. I guess where there's sharks, there's no jellies.
No, you can have both at the same time. It's entirely possible.
Get the double threat. Yeah, and it's Australia, right?
Yeah, it's Australia. Anything, pretty much everything will try and kill you at some stage or another. Let me see.
Look at all the cakes. All the cakes are really tall.
Yeah, amazing height. And they look very yummy.
I'll get one Lord of the Ring cake thingy.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Looks like a funnel
Matt's
cake.
Not the moderator, that's Azizul. I'm just looking at the questions. We're trying to get Heidi to come back.
Yeah.
I suspect
so everybody
her
pray
phone
really
died.
hard.
Her phone died before she
managed to plug it in. Yeah.
No, Matt, you don't get any discount. You remember our project extinction? Yes, Matt and I have a secret project. If you don't finish my sets, you have to dance the baby shark. Yeah. And sing. Oh my God. Don't forget, World Sim Day is coming up actually, 24th, 25th of October.
So do you all watch Waterworld after it? When everything is underwater?
No. Oh my God. Actually, I have never watched it.
Oh, dang.
No, I've never watched it.
That'd be like a swimmer's dream. Like everything's underwater.
No.
The ice caps have melted.
I don't know if it's a swimmer's dream or just like, hello, there's a lot of water lah.
There's no jellyfish.
Well, that would be okay.
That'll be okay.
that part will be cool. Yeah, we'll throw
a nice movie and swim, right?
I should watch it, I suppose.
Yeah. Like instead of a drive-in, it's a pool-in. So you watch a movie while you're in the pool.
No, but then you won't swim. You'd be like,
or you have to stay afloat or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Have your unicorn float.
Yeah, stay in it.
And Beverly's favorite thing. But yeah, you can ask me questions in the interim and more questions. Hi, Clara. I see you there. Hi, Clara. Heidi will be back at some stage, hopefully.
Yeah.
Technology is not in our favor right now.
You can always text her, ask her.
I did.
Oh, yeah.
I did. Yeah, I get her to come back, but she's not seen that. So I suspect the phone decided
it had enough.
end it. Yeah, it's like enough of these,
Water talk
surrogate
stuff.
Because other than Clara, it's all Sorokians today.
Yeah.
And Mr. Soso.
Yeah. The Star Wars kid.
Oh, Star Wars. Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm hungry now.
All of the original trilogy, guys. Yeah. None of those Disney trilogy stuff.
Shh. Let's not start a controversy. Will we like end up like Collins last week and talk about science fiction and fantasy for?
He has a full size Dalek. Like, come on.
I know. I still haven't seen it. I've asked him to see it. Yeah, I think her phone needs more coffee. Hopefully she'll be back soon, unless you're listening to me talk.
Trying to keep this afloat.
Yeah, we'll keep it afloat. I've not seen one. So tell us about Waterworld, Denzel. I'll ask you questions instead.
Waterworld? I don't know much about it. It stars the same guy that acts in Postman.
Synopsis.
Oh, the water, the earth is flooded. So things like paper and soil becomes high value items, and everybody's trying to find the only remaining dry land. And apparently, it's tattooed on the back of a kid.
Oh,
it's a nice concept. When they land on dry land, they have a concept of a land sickness because everybody has been living in the sea for so long. They can't. They don't get the non-motion of static land, so they get sick. They call it land sickness.
My question would be, right? How would you? Oh, okay. Heidi says she had to restart her phone, so she's coming back. I mean, so if the let's say they didn't find this kid and this kid grew up, would the tattoo map change?
I don't know. The tattoo map makes no sense. But the thing is, the main guy is a mutant fish, so he can breathe underwater. So like.
Oh, that's interesting. I should watch it just for the sheer hell of it. Is that the one with Kevin Costner?
Yeah, Costner. Yeah, Postman. There's very few movies I can think of about swimmers.
Well, now there are a few. There's some documentaries. I don't know if it's like a comedy one where it's about these guys who do synchro. It was a British one. I forgot the name of it. Yeah. Oh man.
You can only think about like shark movies.
Sharknado.
With sharks. Oh, that's a good one.
How many did they make in the end? Sorry, people. We're not talking.
I think it was 6.
My goodness. Sorry.
Yeah, but
like
when
disaster movies.
When it's cheesy enough and it works, it works.
Well, it's good for no thinking.
Because they are self-aware of what they're doing, so that's fine.
Jaws. Oh, that's the oldie.
Yeah, it's either the shark or the guy from James Bond. Both. Maybe Jaws versus Jaws would be nice.
Oh, the guy with the metal
teeth.
Teeth. What was his name?
I thought it was Jaws.
There's one about a competitive swimmer against a bunch of crocs. Oh.
Or is it Crocodile Dundee or something? No. That would be like, that's not a knife. This is a knife.
That's not a shark.
This is a shark.
There was a new Netflix thing about. Oh, is it Netflix or one of?
Yeah, it's Jaws. Because the shark in Jaws is actually called Bruce, I think.
Things you learn every day.
Crawl. Wait, is there swimming and running from crocs? Why are they crawling?
Yeah. No, it's the one competitive swimmer against a bunch of crocs. Oh, I don't know. There was one. It's like a romantic comedy thing where this. Yeah. Oh man, I gotta find the name.
she was
Romeo and Juliet.
no, it's a comedy thing where she was a competitive swimmer who lost her mojo and switched to coaching, and then that was the whole situation of the movie. I watched the trailer because someone sent me the trailer.
How is that romantic?
First of all, she didn't look like a swimmer. And didn't show her swimming and anything like that. So it was quite an interesting perspective. Ooh.
They're not against swimmers. The crocs are on land. That's cheating.
Hey, but they're from Sarawak, okay?
What, the crocs? Oh, okay, I guess. Are crocs delicious? Heidi's back. Hold on. I better disappear.
Sorry about that, everyone.
Sorry, we were talking about movies, as you do.
Oh, okay.
Crocodiles and Sharknado and things related to at a stretch related to swimming in some way. Welcome back. I know you don't have much time left.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, so we kind of babbled for a period of time till you get back. So it's fine.
Okay.
It was relatively swimming related-ish. At a stretch. We talked about Waterworld. Yeah.
Oh, no.
You can watch it at a later date.
I'll trust you all.
Yeah, we looked at your cakes for a period of time as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because we like looking at cakes. Well, I know you only have a short period of time left, so let's maybe either take a final question or you talked about Beverly's question was kind of what about, any advice or takeaway from obviously your experiences, whether it's from training or competitive, that could serve for the younger generation or newer swimmers that are coming up now, especially for girls.
So I think, further to what I said before, I think it's really about encouraging people to have a go. And I think especially for girls, I think swimming is getting harder for girls as well, because I think a lot of girls are reluctant to swim and to wear bathers and get big shoulders and things like that. And I actually think it's quite
the image.
It's a body image, and I think it's actually quite it's quite empowering. I think it's becoming quite maybe more accepted now to be different. And I think it's important that girls in particular and other young people realize that it's okay to be different. And when I was growing up and I had big shoulders, I looked quite different to a lot of the other girls that I went to school with. And now it's considered, an athletic build is considered to be very attractive. Yeah. And that can change in a few years, but that's fine, because my athletic build is a product of a lot of time and investment, and it is, I guess, a trophy for all the work I've done. And so I think we need to encourage particularly younger girls to be appreciative of their bodies, and as long as they're healthy, then that in itself is beautiful, and that's really important. And I think starting with the mindset of being healthy is how we get into sport, and we encourage young people to try sport, and that's the most important thing for me.
And they will enjoy it in the end.
Exactly. If they're doing it for the
right mindset, mindset and approach, and the support network that they have. I think that plays a huge part in how they feel and about themselves, as well as the process and the journey that they're doing.
Yeah, definitely.
And eat cake from time to time.
And eat cake, definitely eat cake.
Yeah. It's part of recovery.
Yes.
This is going to haunt me at some stage or another, I'm sure, every time I keep mentioning that cake is a part of recovery. And they'll be like, Coach, why have you not brought cake to training? And where's this? And I'm like, okay. We'll talk about that one later. I know time-wise you need to head out.
Sorry for
that. We'll take one last question from Bev and Beverly, and
sure.
Then we'll be done.
Oh, have you had run-ins with jellyfish? Because that's one of our main nemesis. Says
Yes,
here.
yes, I've had many run-ins. The worst one has probably been when I was swimming to Rottnest one year, and the jellyfish was so bad that year. They were blue bottles, and they got stuck in our swimsuits, and
Oh,
quite some time. Yeah, I remember this quite clearly, because every time you got in the water, so I did it in a team that year, you had to jump from the boat into the water. You would jump straight into a pile of jellyfish. So you jump feet first, your feet get stung. You jump head first, your head gets stung. It was the most painful experience, and every time you jumped in the water, you would get stung. And there were blue bottles, and they scarred. Because I've got scars on my chest where the jellyfish were stuck in my swimsuit. My friends have scars down there on their bellies where the jellyfish ended up. And because they're stuck in your swimsuit, you can't do anything about it. So
no, you can't quite.
Yeah, and they were blue
so
bottles.
many, right? You can't.
Yeah, and they were very, very painful. Yeah, very, very, very painful. So there you go. That's my painful.
Well, this is not
experience.
exactly the most encouraging thing that we should really end on.
Well, I think they're actually mostly in Australia, and only in some parts of Australia.
Yeah, well, everything in Australia is trying to kill you, as we seem to have established. Yep. That makes you tougher, right? And more resilient.
It definitely does. Definitely does.
Well, okay, we'll bring that to a close. Thank you very much, Heidi, for... do you eat jellyfish?
Well, it's certainly not blue bottles, because I would not want to die.
No, they're not really. Yeah, because we're always saying that, the jellyfish that we have, I mean, the population has grown ridiculously. Especially compared to, I wouldn't say how many years ago when I used to swim. And, because we have less turtles, we had, less of the dolphins and the turtles that used to eat them now. Development and so on. So we're like, can we export them to China or something? Are they, let's get them out there and eat more jellyfish. Yeah, then we can swim. So thank you very much, Heidi, for tuning in and having a chat and sharing your experiences.
Thanks for having me
Today.
Sorry about
I hope you had a good time. That's okay. We talked about Sharknado and, vaguely related swimming things. It's
good.
It's cool.
I'm good. Glad to hear.
Good. Okay. Yeah, take care. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Quick thank you to my sponsors, Finis Malaysia and Swimshop to You and Real Art Play. You can get 10% off if you purchase items from Swimshop to You. The discount code is Dugongs. And that's it from us today. We'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. See you. Thanks for having me.